thing. Attack of the people.
About how you haven't seen your friends yet, that you're too drunk to stand and you not knowing if you can love him forever. Bullshit, you fucking missed me there. I said it, I guess I'll talk to you in a few months. Sitting drunk on the sidewalk, I guess I'll get up, I guess I'll go for a walk. Brush my shoes against the pavement, I swear this is gonna be the 100th time I've thought of you tonight. You weren't the only one who thought of us that way. I spend most nights awake, wide awake. I never thought that I would see the day where I just let you go, let you walk away. Where I let you walk away.
To call you crook, called you abandoned. There ain't no other good damn reason why my heart it would go missing for so many months. So I was wishing that you would stop pretending. Remember all those countless nights when I told you I loved you, and to never forget it. Oh, just forget it.
You weren't the only one who thought of us that way. I spend most nights awake, wide awake. I never thought that I would see the day about the future, 'cause all my current problems are based around the past. And I hate when you call me.
Alright, we're starting it off. Alright. Let's see. Yeah, we're starting this off. Gotta turn this little thing off. Oh, I love that you can see this little blah, 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 blah. Alright. We're gonna let's do alright. I hope this isn't too loud. Alright. Alright. Hopefully this isn't too loud. I hope y'all can hear me okay. I hope. Let's see, let's move this a little bit closer. There we go. Oh, I should probably pop open in Discord. Boop, boop. Here we are. And share my screen. Let's see. Ooh, I know. Screen projector. There we go. That way people in Discord can see what people on stream are gonna see. Just in case anyone wants to jump in on this. Dope, dope, dope. Okay, let's see. Interesting. Okay. probably be charging. What the? Got too many charging cables. Alright, I promise we're getting started real quick. Alright. Looks like we got some people showing up. That's nice. Welcome, welcome. I'm about to start reading in just a moment. Oh my god, there we go. My level's okay? I can't tell. Alright. Alright. I'm gonna turn this down a little bit. Oh. I gotta turn this down on my end. I don't know how loud it is on your end, but... okay. Let's see where we're at. Let's get this. Boom. Alright, we're on Grandeur and Weakness of Spontaneity. Let me get all my notes up, or my note taking, and the actual text up for myself, so we can scroll on through it. Oh no. That's gonna be annoying. Uh-oh. I can't tell how that looks on... oh no, it looks fine on this end. Okay, cool. Just making sure, because it looks a little different on my end. But let's go. So the last piece we were talking about, we were at violence in the international context, and we're just kind of talking about how the kind of the colonial or the post-colonial state and matches with the states in like the colonizing states, the colonizing nations, how they kind of interact with each other, kind of the interplay between, because at this time Frantz Fanon's writing, the Soviet Union is probably at its strongest internationally. Like we're just before the Vietnam War, and after the beginning of the struggles, the like freedom of Vietnam from the French colonial rule. This is after Dien Bien Phu. Yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. So, on Grandeur and Weakness of Spontaneity. Oh my god, this thing is such a pain sometimes. Stay. Okay, let's see. How are our levels? Check, check. Damn. Feels like I'm pretty quiet. Over a little bit. Maybe. Move. Nope. Nope. Where's my webcam? There we go. I'm gonna move this over a little bit so I'm a little more centered. All right, let's see. Properties, defaults. Okay. All right, enough fiddling. Let's just get to it. These reflections on violence have made us realize the frequent discrepancy between the cadres of the Nationalist Party and the masses, and the way they are out of step with each other. In any union or political organization, there is a traditional gap between the masses who demand an immediate unconditional improvement of their situation and the cadres who, gauging the difficulties likely to be created by employers, put a restraint on their demands. Hence, the oft-remarked tenacious discontent of the masses with regard to the cadres. The oft-remarked tenacious discontent of the masses with regard to the cadres. Okay. After a day of demonstrations, while the cadres are celebrating victory, the masses well and truly get the feeling they have been betrayed. It is the repeated demonstrations for their rights and the repeated labor disputes that politicize the masses. A politically informed union official is someone who knows that a local dispute is not a crucial confrontation between him and management. Politically informed union official is someone who knows that a local dispute is not a crucial confrontation between him and management. The colonized intellectuals who, in their respective metropolises, have studied the mechanism of political parties, establish similar organizations so as to mobilize the masses and put pressure on the colonial administration. The formation of nationalist parties in the colonized countries is contemporary with the birth of an intellectual and business elite. These elite attach primordial importance to the organization as such, and blind devotion to the organization often takes priority over a rational study of colonial society. The notion of party is a notion imported from the metropolis. This instrument of modern resistance is grafted onto a protean, unbalanced reality where slavery, bondage, barter, cottage industries, and stock transactions exist side by side. Whew, that's actually a lot denser than I feel like he's often writing. Just like that paragraph is like, there's a lot to unpack there. So let's see if we can figure something out. Let's say first paragraph. Really like the last part. Formation of nationalist parties in the colonized countries is contemporary with the birth of an intellectual and business elite. Is he saying? I think he's saying that their formation is in their formation within the colonized country. The birth of the intellectual and business elites formation also in the colonized countries, not just like in general, not like an international intellectual and business elite. Yeah, no, he's talking about the just within the colonized country. These elite attach primordial importance to the organization as such, and blind devotion to the organization often takes. Okay. Basically, so he's saying that these business / intellectual elites okay, so he's talking about like kind of like a Marxist-Leninist thing, right? Like you have the Vanguard Party or you have the Nationalist Party. So the business and intellectual elites see the Nationalist parties ooh. Nationalist parties. These elite attach primordial importance to the organization as such. Blind devotion to the organization often takes priority over a rational study of colonialist society. The notion of party is a notion imported from the metropolis. The most important thing to guiding the nation forward despite these nationalist parties tending being born of cities and not of the metropolis. Ugh, God, I can't spell metropolis. Being born of the metropolis. It's by being born of the metropolis, and not let's say not necessarily representing the whole of colonized society, i.e. those still in slavery, in the villages, etc. In the villages, i.e. let's say, how can I word this? I.e. the peasantry and like the farming slash let's say pre-proletarian classes, right? Because they're not bourgeois classes. They're what would be the proletarian classes if not for if development was taken to its end point, because I don't even know if we're even at the end point now, but let's continue. The weakness of political parties lies not only in their mechanical imitation of an organization which is used to handling the struggle of the proletariat within a highly industrialized capitalist society, so that's basically what I was alluding to just in the previous sentence. Innovations and adaptations should have been made as the type of organization at a local level. The great mistake, the inherent flaw of most of the political parties in the underdeveloped regions has been traditionally to address, first and foremost, the most politically conscious elements, the urban proletariat, the small tradesmen and civil servants, i.e. a tiny section of the population which represents barely more than 1%. See next paragraph. Yeah, damn. I feel like I'm like reading this and then like I'll read that and be like, okay, this needs an explanation, and then literally the next paragraph Fanon makes is an explanatory that puts it way better than I just did. So maybe what am I doing? I don't know. but I think it's necessary to at least explain some of the things in here that were contemporary for his time, like the historical kind of stuff. Um, However, although the proletariat However, although this proletariat understood the party propaganda and read its publications, it was much less prepared to respond to any slogans taking up the unrelenting struggle for national liberation. It has been said many times that in colonial territories, the proletariat is the kernel of the colonized people most pampered by the colonial regime. Okay, interesting. The embryonic urban proletariat is relatively privileged. In the capitalist countries, the proletariat has nothing to lose and possibly everything to gain. In the colonized countries, the proletariat has everything to lose. It represents, in fact, that fraction of the colonized who are indispensable for running the colonial machine: tram drivers, taxi drivers, miners, dockers, interpreters, and nurses, etc. These elements make up the most loyal clientele of the nationalist parties, and by the privileged position they occupy in the colonial system, represent the bourgeois fraction of the colonized population. Alright, so these elements represent the bourgeois fraction of the colonized population. Let's see. Let's say the urban proletariat comprises the bulk of the nationalist and represents the bulk of the nationalist parties, yet represent a small fraction of the population. So it is understandable that the clientele of the nationalist parties is above all urban. Technicians, manual workers, intellectuals, and tradespeople living mainly in the towns. Their way of thinking in many ways already bears the mark of the technically advanced and relatively comfortable environment in which they live. Here, modernism is king. These are the very same circles which will oppose obscurantist traditions and propose innovations, thereby entering into open conflict with the old granite foundation that is the national heritage. The large majority of the nationalist parties regard the rural masses with great mistrust. These masses give them the impression of being mired in inertia and sterility. Fairly quickly, the Nationalist Party members, the urban workers and intellectuals, end up passing the same pejorative judgment on the peasantry as the colonists. In our endeavor to understand the reasons for this distrust and the rural masses by the political parties, we should not forget that colonialism has often strengthened or established its domination by an organized petrifaction of the peasantry. Regimented by marabouts, I gotta know what a marabout is. A marabout... one who is attached or garrisoned. Is a Muslim religious leader and teacher. Okay. Interesting. Okay, so... Right, regimented by marabouts, witch doctors, and traditional chiefs. So... Let's see... Muslim? Muslim religion. Jesus, I keep doing this. Muslim religious leader slash teacher. Yeah, regimented by marabouts, witch doctors, and traditional chiefs, the rural masses still live in a feudal state whose overbearingly medieval structure is nurtured by the colonial administrators and army. Oops. Come on. Alright. 1 second, I got a text from my mom. A missed call from my mom at 10. Okay. Alright. Alright. Back to our guys. The young national bourgeoisie, especially the business sector, now competes with these feudal rulers in a number of areas. Marabouts and witch doctors prevent the sick from consulting a physician. The rulings of the Jemas make lawyers redundant. The Cades use their political and administrative powers to launch a trucking business or establish commerce. The local chiefs oppose the introduction of trade and new products in the name of religion and tradition. Okay. The young class of colonized businessmen and traders needs to eliminate these prohibitions and barriers in order to grow. The indigenous clientele, which represents the exclusive preserve of the exclusive preserve of the feudal overlords and sees itself more or less banned from purchasing new products, constitutes therefore a market which both parties are fighting over. The feudal agents form a barrier between the young westernized nationalists and the masses. Every time the elite makes a gesture towards the rural masses, the tribal chiefs, the religious rulers, and the traditional authorities issue repeated warnings, threats, and excommunications. These traditional authorities, sanctioned by the occupying power, feel threatened by the growing endeavors of the elite to infiltrate the rural masses. They know too well that the ideas imported by these urban elements are likely to threaten the very existence of their feudal authority. As a result, their enemy is not the occupying power with whom, in fact, they get along very well, but these modernists who are bent on dislocating the indigenous society and in doing so take the bread out of their mouths. Interesting. The westernized elements feelings toward the peasant masses recall those found among the proletariat in the industrialized nations. Read that again. The Western elements' feelings toward the peasant masses recall those found among the proletariat in the industrialized nations. The history of bourgeois revolutions and the history of proletarian revolutions have demonstrated that the peasant masses often represent a curb on revolution. In the industrialized countries, the peasant masses are generally the least politically conscious, the least organized, as well as the most anarchistic elements. They are characterized by a series of features: individualism, lack of discipline, the love of money, fits of rage, and deep depression. Jesus. Defining an objectively reactionary behavior. Okay. What's up, Mom? Wait. Right. We've seen that the nationalist parties base their methods and doctrines on the Western parties and therefore in the majority of cases do not direct their propaganda at the rural masses. In fact, a rational analysis of colonial society would have shown them that the colonized peasants live in a traditional environment whose structures have remained intact. Whereas in the industrialized countries, it is these traditional circles which have been splintered by the progress of industrialization. It is within the burgeoning proletariat that we find individualistic behavior in the colonies. It is within the burgeoning proletariat that we find individualistic behavior in the colonies. Wait, what? The Nationalist Party's based their methods on doctrine. Okay. Abandoning the countryside and its insoluble problems of demography, the landless peasants, now a lumpen proletariat, are driven into the towns, crammed into shanty towns, and endeavor to infiltrate the ports and cities. The creations of colonial domination. As for the mass of the peasantry, they continue to live in a petrified context, and those who cannot scrape a living in the countryside have no other choice but to emigrate to the cities. The peasant who stays put is a staunch defender of tradition, and in a colonial society represents the element of discipline whose social structure remains community-minded. Such a static society, clinging to a rigid context, can, of course, sporadically generate episodes of religious fanaticism and tribal warfare. But in their spontaneity, the rural masses remain disciplined and altruistic. The individual steps aside in favor of the community. So, I'm confused. Oh, okay. I think I get it now. I was feeling very stupid for a second. Oh my god. Sorry, my brain is like... My brain's not used to thinky. Chicka chicka chicka. Chicka chicka wow. Okay, so the westernized elements. Okay. Where do we wanna... Individual steps aside in favor of the community. Oh, community. Okay. So, sorry, very itchy ear. Let's see. So, he's saying, while the proletariat while the proletariat of industrialized countries can be viewed as the history of bourgeois revolutions and the history of proletarian revolutions have demonstrated the peasant masses often represent a curb on revolution. In the industrialized countries, the peasant masses are generally masses of history of bourgeois revolutions and proletarian revolutions. Alright, so while the peasant masses of industrialized countries are often less organized and highly individualized, this is much less true of the peasantry of the colonized indigenous peasantry. So let's see, but in their spontaneity, the rural masses remain disciplined. Peasant who stays put is a staunch defender of tradition, and in a colonial society represents the element of discipline whose social structure remains community-minded. As colonial society encroaches... Jesus. Communities, the peasant masses of, let's call them the indigenous peasantry. The indigenous peasantry holds steadfast onto those communities. I feel like I've kind of read, I feel like Christina Federici kind of touches on this in Caliban and the Witch, when she talks about kind of these like heretical sects that are kind of responding to the encroachment of basically a combination of like church and state upon them. And the enclosure of the commons. Such a static society. Those communities and traditions, making them far more cohesive and community oriented and I would say receptive to political engagement. That's my emphasis. The peasants distrust the town dweller, dressed like a European, speaking his language, working alongside him, sometimes living in his neighborhood. He is considered by the peasant to be a renegade who has given up everything which constitutes the national heritage. The town dweller is a traitor, a mercenary, who apparently gets along very well with the occupier and strives to succeed in the context of the colonial system. Hence the reason why we often hear the peasants say that the town dwellers have no moral standards. This is not the traditional opposition between town and country. It is the opposition between the colonized excluded from the benefits of colonialism and their counterparts who manage to control to turn the colonial system to their advantage. The colonialists, moreover, use this antagonism in their opposition to the nationalist parties. They mobilize the population in the mountains and in the interior against the urban population. They set the backcountry against the coast, they revive tribal identities, and it should come as no... Oh, it's because I'm in the wrong one. Come as no surprise that we see Kalonji crowned king of Kasai, or some years back, The Assembly of Chiefs in Ghana hold its ground against Nkrumah. Okay, let's see. This would really help me. Was a Congolese politician. Alright, let's see. Oh, damn, he died. He only died 5 years ago? He died April of 2015. Alright, Albert Kalonji. Is this who they're talking about? Was a Congolese politician best known as the leader of the short-lived secessionist state of South Kasai during the Congo crisis. Kalonji, a chief from the Luba ethnic group, began his political career under Belgian colonial rule as a member of the nationalist movement National Congolese party led by Patrice Lumumba. Kalonji, however, split with Lumumba to form a federalist faction of the party known as the Movement National Congolese Kalonji, which failed to achieve significant success while Lumumba was made prime minister of the independent Congo in 1960. Within days of being independent from Belgium, the new Republic of Congo found itself between competing political factions, as well as by foreign interference. That's a clunky ass sentence. Thank you, Wikipedia. As the situation deteriorated, Moise Chombe, declared the independent Katanga province as a state of Katanga on 11th July 1960. The Baluba were being persecuted in Congo in need of their own state in their traditional Kasai homeland. Followed suit shortly afterwards and declared the autonomy of the diamond-rich South Kasai. In emulation of Winston Churchill, he adopted the V sign for victory, expressed his confidence in South Kasai's ability to achieve its goals. Kalonji's father was granted the title of Malopwe, which roughly translates to Emperor or God King, but he immediately abdicated in favor of his son on July 6th. What? Oh, God. Okay. This is riddled with typos. Riddled with typos. Jeez. Damn, he fled to Francoist Spain. Wow. He returned to the Congo between 1964-65 to hold ministerial portfolio in the central government led by Chombe, but returned to exile following Joseph Désiré Mobutu's 1965 coup. Under Mobutu, the territory of South Kasai was divided into two regions to discourage future secessionist tendencies. In exile in Europe, Kalonji still claimed the title Souverain Possesseur des terres occupées par les Balubas. He wrote about his experience in memoranda. Okay. He died in April 2015. Alright, so what does this all mean? Let's go back. Surprised to see Kalonji crowned King of Kasai, or some years back the Assembly of Chiefs in Ghana hold its ground against Nkrumah. Chiefs and Nkrumah. Kwame Nkrumah. I need to read some Nkrumah. Led the Gold Coast, Pan-Africanism, founding member of the Organization of African Unity, and winner of the London Peace Prize. Chief. Let's see. Okay. Nkrumah's title was leader of government business in a cabinet chaired by Arden Clark. Quick progress was made, and in 1952 the governor withdrew from the cabinet, leaving Nkrumah as his prime minister. With the portfolios that had been reserved for expatriates going to Africans, there were accusations of corruption and of nepotism, as officials following African custom attempted to benefit their extended families and their tribes. The recommendations following the 1948 riots had included elected local government rather than the existing system dominated by the chiefs. This was uncontroversial until it became clear that it would be implemented by the CPP. That party's majority in the Legislative Assembly passed legislation in late 1951, shifted power from the chiefs to the chairs of the councils, though there was some local rioting as rates were imposed. Nkrumah's retitling as prime minister had not given him additional power. He sought constitutional reform that would lead to independence. He consulted so long as the chiefs and other stakeholders had opportunity to express their views. Stakeholders. Initially skeptical of Nkrumah's socialist policies, Britain's MI5 had compiled large amounts of intelligence on Nkrumah through several sources, including tapping phones, and mail interception under the code of name of Swift. Resulting following year was a white paper on the Constitution, seen as a final step before the independence. Oh goodness. Okay. Let's see. Alright, surprised to see. Let's go back to the text, and it should come as they set back the back country against the coast, the revived tribal identities, and it should come as no surprise to see Kalonji crowned king of Kasai, or some years back the Assembly of Chiefs in Ghana hold its ground against Nkrumah. Let's see. What do I want to say about this? What do I want to say about this? Use this antagonism in their opposition to the nationalist parties. I don't understand the Kalonji. Oh, okay. Wait, I think I understand. So let's see. Kalonji. Yeah. split from Amuba's. Let's see. Amuba's. Forum. Father. God, G himself. Posed. Kwame. Wait, is it Kwame or Kwame? Oh, wow. This is a huge article. Kwame. My bad. Ghanaians approved a new constitution and elected Nkrumah president. The position when Ghana declared independence from Britain. His administration was primarily socialist as well as nationalist. It funded national industrial and energy projects, developed a strong national education system, and promoted a Pan-Africanist culture. Under Nkrumah, Ghana played a leading role in African international relations during the decolonization period. In 1964, a constitutional amendment made Ghana a one-party state, with Nkrumah as president for life of both the nation and its party. Nkrumah was deposed in 1966 by the National Liberation Council under the supervision of international financial institutions, privatized many of the country's state corporations. Nkrumah lived the rest of his life in Guinea, of which he was named honorary co-president. Interesting. Opposition to tribalism. Alright, so he sought to eliminate tribalism. This is all from Wikipedia, so it's kind of a mixed bag, right? I just want to make sure whoever's watching this understands that. I would love to do some more reading on Nkrumah. Because I've heard rad things, and honestly, like, cutting through some of the bullshit that is written by people who, you know, are have less scruples or are less scrupulous about this sort of stuff. You can kind of see where they sit on these things. Oh, excuse me. Alright, so let's see. Another source of irritation. Okay. Nkrumah also sought to eliminate tribalism, a source of loyalties held more deeply than those to the nation state. Thus, as he wrote, "In Africa we must unite." Alright, so that's going to be on my reading list. Unite. Oh, great. It's a speech. Perfect. We were engaged in a kind of war, a war against poverty and disease, against ignorance, against tribalism and disunity. We needed to secure the conditions which could allow us to pursue our policy of reconstruction and development. To this end, in 1958, his government passed an act to prohibit organizations using or engaging in racial or religious propaganda to the detriment of any other racial or religious community, or securing the election of persons on account of their racial or religious affiliations, or for other purposes in connection therewith. Nkrumah attempted to saturate the country in national flags and declared a widely disobeyed ban on tribal flags. Kofi Abrefa Busia, I don't know how to pronounce that, sorry, of the United Party of Ghana gained prominence as an opposition leader in the debate over this act, taking a more classically liberal position, criticizing the ban on tribal politics as repressive. Soon after he left the country, Nkrumah was also a very flamboyant leader. The New York Times in 1972 wrote, during his high-flying days as the leader of Ghana in the 1950s and early 1960s, Kwame Nkrumah was a flamboyant spellbinder. Shut the fuck up, New York Times. At home, he created a cult of personality and glorified the title of Asagyefo, or Redeemer. Abroad, he rubbed elbows with the world's leaders as the first man to lead an African colony to independence after World War II. During his tenure as Prime Minister and then President, Nkrumah succeeded in reducing the political importance of the local chieftaincy, e.g. the Akan chiefs and the Asantehene. Asantehene? Tahine? I don't know how to pronounce that. These chiefs had mandated authority during colonial rule through collaboration with the British authorities. In fact, they were sometimes favored over the local intelligentsia, who made trouble for the British with organizations like the Aborigines Rights Protection Society. Yeah, see, so let's see. I guess I'll do a brief history on a tiny history of Nkrumah. Like super tiny. In his, what do you call that? In his goal to unify, not to unify. Oh, why is this going so slow? To unify Ghana under nationalist rule, he and his goals to unify, liberate, and pull Ghana out of poverty. Kwame Nkrumah got it. Suppress tribalism. Many yes, of course. Suppress tribal. His goal to, let's see, is passing law is it? Nkrumah succeeded in reducing the importance of local chieftaincy. Blah blah. Where is that? During his, the chiefs maintained the authority during colonial rule. No, Nkrumah attempted to. Wait. What is this from? Shit. What is 145? Where is that one? Oh, 145. Africa must unite. Okay. Gotcha. Implementing policy to oh god, come on. 1 second. Font color and 12. Oh, whoops. 22 and times New Roman. And 22. Policy. Yeah, I think that's a good good way to put that in there. Policy to prohibit organizations using or engaging in racial or religious propaganda to the detriment of any other racial or religious community, or securing liberate and pull Ghana out of poverty. Kwame Nkrumah suppressed tribalism in Ghana, implementing policy to during the colonial period, during its British, during the British colonial period, Ghanaian. How do you? Is this? Oh, Ghanaian. Okay, that makes sense. Tribal leaders. Let's see. These chiefs had maintained authority during colonial rule. Yeah. During the British colonial tribal leaders, kept their authority and collaborated. And cool. Good colonizers. These are, let's see, Fanon is using these two examples to illustrate the ways in which, the colonial powers use existing differences and racial, ethnic, tribal affiliations, which the colonial powers use existing differences and racial affiliations to divide the nation against divide the colonized people against each other. As such, tribal identity must be subsumed by a national identity, lest it be as such, tribal identity must be subsumed by a national identity, lest I don't know, dudes doing dude stuff, lest the tribes what am I trying to say? Lest lest colonial powers use those divisions against the colonized. Yeah, I think that'll work. It's a bit long, but maybe we can pare it down before I actually read this as an ASMR video. Okay. Yeah, okay. So, after that long detour, let's see. The political parties are unable to establish roots in the countryside. Instead of adapting the existing structures in order to invest them with the nationalist or progressive elements, they're intent on disrupting traditional existence within the context of the colonial system. They imagine they can jumpstart the nation, whereas the mesh of the colonial system is still tightly interlocked. They make no effort to reach out to the masses. They do not place their theoretical knowledge at the service of the people, but instead try to regiment the masses according to a predetermined schema. Consequently, they parachute into the villages inexperienced or unknown leaders from the capital who, empowered by the central authorities, endeavor to manage the douar or the village like a company committee. The traditional chiefs are ignored, sometimes taken down a peg. Instead of integrating the history of the village and the conflicts between the tribes and clans into the people's struggle, the history of the future nations has a singular disregard for minor local histories and tramples on the only thing relevant to the nation's actuality. The elders, held in respect in traditional societies, are generally invested with an undeniable moral authority, are publicly ridiculed. The occupiers' services have no scruples making use of the ensuing resentment and are kept informed of the slightest decision adopted by this caricature of authority. A well-informed police repression based on factual intelligence gathering is quick to follow. The leaders parachuted in from the outside and the main members of the new assembly are arrested. Okay, so new assembly are arrested. Ugh. So, what can we say about this? These setbacks confirm the theoretical analysis of the nationalist parties. The disastrous attempts at regimenting the rural masses reinforces the party's distrust and crystallize their aggressiveness towards this section of the population. After the victorious struggle for national liberation, the same mistakes are repeated, fostering the trend to decentralize and self-govern. Same mistakes are repeated, fostering the trend. Vicious struggle for national liberty. Okay. The tribalism of the colonial phase is replaced by regionalism in the national phase, expressed institutionally as federalism. Okay. So we're gonna... let's change this, because this all goes together. Setbacks. Confirm. Expressed institutionally as federalism. Oh god, phone. What the fuck? Oh, I will be right back. I'm gonna say good night to my lady. Okay. Ugh, okay, we're back. What happened? Oh, balls. Ugh. Let's see. Probably can't upload this to YouTube, because who knows. I'm trying to get just royalty-free music, but whatever. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Institutionally as federalism. So, and reinforce these divisions as when they sent experienced slash unknown leaders, unknown, not unknown, unknown leaders from the to organize the villages. These people they ignore, they disregard, and disregard, let's say, they disregard, disrespect, and disenfranchise tribal leaders and elders in a way that pits elders. This pits the elder. That's let's see, this makes the elders hate the nationalist party leaders. Nationalist party leaders. Let's see. Let's see. This pits. This makes the elders hate the Nationalist Party leaders, and the colonizers are the colonial powers are quick to take advantage of this animosity. This creates a feedback loop where it could be instrumental in organizing advantage of these animosities. This makes the elders hate the Nationalist Party leaders, and the colonial powers are quick to take advantage of these animosities. What are we trying to say? Basically, I keep doing that, dropping the A off nationalist. Party leaders ignore histories. Try to plow ahead without understanding in organizing these communities without taking the time to understand these histories of the people, or the histories of them. The Nationalist Party leaders try to plow ahead in organizing these communities without taking the time to understand the histories. To understand their histories. What could have been potent allies become potent allies in the national struggle, become party enemies, what have been potent allies in the national struggle become dire enemies. Dire enemies. And this creates a distrust between the nationalist and the tribes. Oh, yeah, let's see. They disregard, disrespect, disenfranchise tribal leaders and elders. This makes the elders hate the Nationalist Party leaders, and the colonial powers are quick to take advantage of these animosities. The Nationalist Party leaders try to plow ahead in organizing these communities without taking the time to understand their histories. What could have been potent allies in the national struggle become dire enemies. Because of this, those who could have been become dire enemies, and these animosities are recreated or remain once the national after the colonial rooted out. All this stream safe music sounds like baby shit. That's fine though. Okay. These setbacks confirm the theoretical analysis of... okay, yeah, we expressed institutionally as federalism. It's rooted out. Is how we get dudes like Kalonji. But it so happens that the rural masses, in spite of the little control the parties have over them, play a crucial role either in the gestation of the national consciousness or in relaying the initiatives of the nationalist parties, and in some rare cases, taking over purely and simply from the party's sterility. Okay, cool. The Nationalist Party's propaganda always finds a response among the peasantry. The memory of the pre-colonial period is still very much alive in the villages. Mothers still hum to their children the songs which accompanied the warriors as they set off to fight the colonizer. At the age of 12 or 13, the young villagers know by heart the names of the elders who took part in the last revolt, and the dreams of the douars and villages are not those of the children in the cities dreaming of luxury goods or passing their exams, but dreams of identification with such and such a hero whose heroic death still brings tears to their eyes. At a time when the nationalist parties are endeavoring to organize the embryonic working class in the towns, we are witnessing apparently inexplicable social unrest in the interior. We can take as an example the infamous 1947 insurrection in Madagascar. The colonial services stated categorically that it was a peasant revolt. In fact, we now know that things, as always, were much more complex. During the Second World War, the major colonial companies extended their influence and grabbed in any remaining lands. There was also talk at the same period of the possible settlement in the island of Jewish, Kabyle, and West Indian refugees. The rumor also spread of an imminent invasion of the island by whites from South Africa, abetted by the colonists. After the war, therefore, the candidates on the nationalist ticket were triumphantly elected. Immediately afterwards, factions of the MDRM movement, Mouvement Démocratique de la Rénovation Malgache, underwent repression. In order to achieve their ends, the colonial authorities employed the usual methods: mass arrests, intertribal racist propaganda, and the creation of a party with the unorganized factions of the lumpen proletariat. This party, called the Disinherited of Madagascar, PADESM, whatever, and its decidedly provocative actions, was to provide the colonial authorities with a legal pretext it needed to maintain law and order. Such a premeditated, commonplace operation as eliminating a political party, however, took on gigantic proportions. On the defensive for 3 or 4 years, the rural masses suddenly felt themselves in mortal danger and decided to violently resist the colonialist forces. Armed with spears and more often with sticks and stones, the population rose up in a widespread revolt with the aim of national liberation. We know how it ended. Such armed revolts constitute but one of the methods used by the rural masses to join in the national struggle. In some cases, the peasants act as a relay following the unrest in the towns, where the Nationalist Party is the object of police repression. Let's try that again. Such armed revolts constitute but one of the methods used by the rural masses to join in the national struggle. In some cases, the peasants act as a relay following the unrest in the towns, where the Nationalist Party is the object of police repression. The news reaches the interior, exaggerated out of all proportion. Leaders arrested, others gunned down, the city running red with blood of blacks, the poor white settlers swimming in Arab blood. All the pent-up hatred, all the exacerbated hatred then explodes. The local police station is taken over, the officers hacked to pieces, the elementary school teacher murdered, the doctor gets away with his life only because he is absent, etc., etc. Pacifying troops are dispatched to the field, with the Air Force drops bombs, the banner of revolt is then unfurled, the old warrior traditions resurface, the women cheer on the men who band together and take up their positions in the mountains, and guerrilla warfare begins. Spontaneously, the peasants create a widespread sense of insecurity. Colonialism takes fright, settles into a state of war, or else negotiates. How did the nationalist parties react to this decisive eruption by the peasant masses into the national struggle? We have seen that the majority of the nationalist parties have not written have not written the need for armed intervention into their propaganda. They are not opposed to a sustained revolt, but they leave it up to the spontaneity of the rural masses. In other words, their attitude towards these new developments is as if they were heaven sent, praying they continue. They exploit this godsend, but make no attempt to organize the rebellion. They do not dispatch agents to the interior to politicize the masses, to enlighten their consciousness, or raise the struggle to a higher level. They hope that swept along by its own momentum, the action of the masses will not flag. There is no contamination of the rural movement by the urban movement. Each side evolves according to its own dialectic. Okay. Interesting. At a time when the rural masses are totally receptive, the nationalist parties make no attempt to introduce them to an agenda. They have no objective to offer and simply hope that the movement will continue indefinitely and that the bombardments will not win the day. We thus see that the nationalist parties do not make use of even this opportunity to integrate the rural masses and raise their political awareness as well as their struggle to a higher level. They stubbornly maintain their criminal position of distrust with regard to the interior. At the time, the rural masses are totally receptive. Okay. So let's. So the political cadres hole up in the towns and make it clear that the colonial authorities, they have no connections to or else they leave the country. Seldom do they join forces with the people in the mountains. In Kenya, for example, during the Mau Mau insurrection, no known nationalist claimed he was a member of the movement or attempted to defend it. Damn. There are no constructive talks, no confrontation between the different social strata of the nation. Once independence has been achieved after repression of the rural masses and collusion between the colonial authorities and the nationalist parties, we find this mutual incomprehension exacerbated. The peasantry balk at the structural reforms proposed by the government, as well as the even objectively progressive social innovations. Precisely because the current leaders of the regime did not explain to the people during the colonial period the party objectives, the national policy, and international issues, etc. The mistrust felt by the rural population and the traditional leaders toward the nationalist parties during the colonial period is matched by equal hostility during the national period. The colonialist secret service, which is still at work after independence, foments discontent and still manages to create serious difficulties for the young governments. When all is said and done, the government is merely paying for its idleness during the liberation period and its enduring contempt for the peasantry. The nation may well have a rational, even progressive head, but its huge body remains retarded, rebellious, and recalcitrant. Don't cancel me, I guess. I'm reading the thing, and I think it means, it's, well, I guess it is using a mind-body metaphor. I wasn't paying attention, okay? Don't, whatever, it's fine. This is writing from the 60s. Translated. Okay. So we're gonna... Okay. During the insurrectionary. What's am I not? No, that's insurrectionary is correct. During the insurrectionary period. I don't know, let's say, after the, how do I want to say this? How do we want to say this? Let's see. Let's see. After the nationalist parties have failed to make contact, or have failed to organize the peasantry, the peasants end up organizing themselves and fomenting what the fuck? Sorry, this music, no. That'll do for now. Just needed to change it up a little bit. Oh, maybe not. No, this will be fine, hopefully, as long as it's there's no lyrics. Okay, after the nationalist parties have failed to organize the peasantry, the peasants end up organizing themselves, and create an insurrectionary movement. Whoops. Okay, sorry. So the peasants end up organizing themselves and create an insurrectionary movement. The colonial authorities arrest and attack the nationalist parties on these grounds, who for their part deny and rightfully so deny any ties to the movement. To these peasant movements. Instead of using these movements as a instead of participating in these movements and helping to educate the peasantry on the party agendas and motives, the nationalist parties sit back and let the peasants do their thing, hoping that they are victorious, but doing nothing to help them become victorious. See, the nation may well have around... After the nationalist parties have failed to organize the peasantry, the peasants end up organizing themselves and create an insurrectionary movement. The colonial authorities arrest and attack the nationalist parties on these grounds, who for their part deny, and rightfully so, any ties to these peasant movements. Instead of participating in the movements and helping to educate... Oh, I think my head's kind of blocking some of this text. Sorry, my big dumb head. Let's move that up there and fuck it. Well, oh no, not that. Not that. Move that down a little bit. Cool. Let's see. Help them, but doing nothing to help. Let's see. Insert any ties of the peasant movements. Instead of participating in the movements and helping to educate the peasantry on the party agendas and motives, and platforms, the nationalist parties sit back and let the peasants do their thing, hoping the nationalists are victorious, but do nothing to help them win. If victory if the peasants win, the control of the levers of power, yet haven't done any of the work to haven't done work recalcitrant. The nationalist parties hope that the peasants are victorious, but do nothing to help them win. If the peasants do win, let's put a do there. Do win. The nationalist parties take control of the levers of power, yet haven't done the work to educate the people and bring them into a coherent haven't done the work to cohesion, the people that just won for them. Yeah, that's good enough. The two parties, the two groups are now no. Because these organizational efforts were never undertaken, or at best failed. Because these organizational efforts were never undertaken, or at best failed, the two groups are now at odds with each other. Yeah. Let's see. We're almost at 2 hours. Look at that. I know I kind of been going at this kind of slow, I guess. Are no at odds. Are now. Might play Cyberpunk in a little bit, just cause. The mistrust felt by the rural population and the national leaders, the recalcitrant. Okay. The temptation is great, therefore, to crush this body by centralizing the administration and keeping a firm control over the people. This is one of the reasons why we often hear the underdeveloped countries need a dose of dictatorship. The leaders distrust the rural masses. This distrust, moreover, can take on serious proportions. Such is the case of certain governments that, long after national independence, consider the interior as an unpacified region where the head of state and his ministers only venture during army maneuvers. The interior is considered a virtual terra incognita. Paradoxically, the national government's attitude toward the rural masses is reminiscent in some ways of the colonial power. Quote, "We are not too sure how the masses will react," unquote. We need to use the lash if we want to take this country out of the dark ages. The young leaders are not afraid to say. But, as we have seen, the political party's disregard for the rural masses during the colonial period can only be prejudicial to national unity and to setting rapidly the nation in motion. Sometimes colonialism endeavors to diversify and dislocate the nationalist upsurge. Instead of stirring up the sheiks, and the chiefs against the revolutionaries, against the quote-unquote revolutionaries in the towns, the native bureaus organized the tribes in religious brotherhoods into parties. Confronted with an urban party which is beginning to embody the will of the nation, quote-unquote, and constitute a threat to the colonial regime, factions are born, and sympathies and parties based on tribe and region emerge. The entire tribe is transformed into a political party in close consultation with the colonialists. Roundtable discussions can now begin. The party of national unity is swamped by the very number of political factions. The tribal parties oppose centralization and unity and denounce the one-party dictatorship. The tribal parties oppose centralization and unity and denounce the one-party dictatorship. If I'm gonna keep reading, I might need to make some tea soon. My throat is starting to feel a little scratchy. so scratchy. Later on, the same tactics will be used by the national opposition. The occupier has already made this. The occupier has already made this his choice from the 2 or 3 nationalist parties who led the liberation struggle. The method of choice is typical. Once a party has achieved national unanimity and has emerged as the sole negotiator, the occupier begins his maneuvering and delays negotiations as long as possible. The delay is used to whittle away the party's demands and obtain concessions from the leadership to remove certain extremist elements. The party of national unity is swamped by the very number of political factions. The tribal parties oppose centralization and okay. If, however, no single party emerges, the occupier is content to favor the one which seems to him to be the most reasonable. The nationalist parties, which were excluded from the negotiations, then loudly denounced the agreement concluded between the other party and the occupier. The party which takes over power from the occupier, conscious of the danger of the rival party's vague, strictly demagogic positions, endeavors to dismantle and outlaw it. The persecuted party has no other alternative but to take refuge on the periphery of the towns and in the interior. It attempts to stir up the rural masses against the mercenaries of the coast and corrupt elements in the capital. Any excuse is good enough, from religious arguments to the tradition-breaking innovations introduced by the new national authority. It exploits the obscurantist tendencies of the rural masses. Its so-called revolutionary doctrine is in fact based on the reactionary, heated, and spontaneous nature of the peasantry. It spreads the rumor here and there that the mountainous regions of the interior are now on the move. That there is discontent among the peasants. It claims that in one region the police have opened fire on the peasants, reinforcements have been dispatched, and the government is about to collapse. With no clear program and no other objective but to take over from the team in power, the opposition parties put their fate in the hands of the spontaneous and obscure mass of the peasantry. Okay. Conversely, in some cases, the opposition no longer seeks support from the rural masses, but from the progressive elements of the young nation's labor unions. In this case, the government calls upon the masses to resist the workers' demands, calling them rash, anti-traditionalist maneuvers. The observations we have noted concerning the political parties can now be applied to the labor unions, mutatis mutandis. The first labor unions in the colonial territories are usually local branches of their metropolitan counterparts, and their slogans echo those of the metropolis. Once the crucial phase of the liberation struggle begins to take shape, a group of indigenous union leaders decides to create a national labor movement. The locals desert en masse the previous organization imported from the metropolis. The formation of this union is another way for the urban population to exert pressure on the colonial authorities. We've already said that the proletariat in the colonies is embryonic and represents the most privileged fraction of of the population. The national labor unions born out of the liberation struggle are urban organizations, and their program is above all political and nationalist. But this national union, born during the decisive phase of the fight for independence, is in fact the legal enlistment of dynamic, politically conscious nationalist elements. The national labor unions born out of the liberation struggle are urban organizations. The program is above all political and nationalist. But this national union born during the decisive phase of the fight for independence is in fact, enlistment of dynamic, politically conscious nationalist elements. The rural masses, despite the political parties, continue to be kept on the sidelines. There is, of course, an agricultural workers' union, but such a formation is content to satisfy the formal need for a united front against colonialism. Union leaders who began their careers in the context of the metropolitan unions are at a loss when it comes to organizing the rural masses. They have lost touch with the peasantry and are mainly concerned with enlisting steelworkers, dockers, and civil servants in the utilities sector, etc. During the colonial phase, the nationalist labor unions represent a spectacular strike force. In the towns, these unions can paralyze or at least disrupt any moment the colonial economy. At any moment, the colonialist economy. Let's take that whole thing again. During the colonial phase, the nationalist labor unions represent a spectacular strike force. In the towns, these unions can paralyze or at least disrupt any moment the colonialist economy. I don't know why I can't get that right. It's a lot of L's and A's, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, since the European settlements are mostly confined to the towns, the psychological repercussions are considerable. No gas, no electricity, no garbage pickup, and produce lies rotting on the wharfs. These metropolitan enclaves, which the towns represent in the colonial context, are profoundly affected by this labor unrest. One second. Which the towns are represented by the rural masses of the interior remain unaffected by this confrontation. There is therefore these metropolitan enclaves, which the towns represent in the colonial context, are profoundly affected by this labor unrest. The stronghold of colonialism, the capital, has difficulty withstanding such a battering, but the rural masses of the interior remain unaffected by this confrontation. There is therefore a clear disproportion from the national point of view between the importance of the labor unions and the rest of the nation. After independence, the workers enlisted in the unions have the impression of running on empty. Once the limited objectives they set themselves have been achieved, they prove to be extremely precarious given the huge task of nation building. Faced with a national bourgeoisie whose relations to the government are often very close, the union leaders discover they can no longer confine themselves to labor disputes. Congenitally isolated from the rural masses, incapable of extending their influence beyond the urban periphery, the unions adopt an increasingly political stance. In fact, they become political candidates. They endeavor by every means possible to drive the bourgeoisie into a corner. Protests are made against keeping foreign bases on national soil. Wait, what? Protests are made against keeping foreign bases on national soil? Oh, okay. Commercial deals are exposed, and criticism is voiced against the national government's foreign policy. The workers, now independent, are getting nowhere. The unions realize that in the aftermath of independence, that if their social demands were to be expressed, they would scandalize the rest of the nation. The workers are, in fact, pampered by the regime. They represent the most well-to-do fraction of the people. Okay, he said that quite a few times. Any unrest aimed at winning improved living standards for the laborers and dock workers would not only be unpopular, but might very well stir up the hostility of the disinherited rural population. The unions banned from union activities make no headway. Let's see. Whew. Okay. This malaise conveys the objective need for a social program which, at long last, concerns the entire nation. The unions suddenly discover that the interior must also be enlightened and organized. But since they never bothered to establish working links between the organization and the peasantry, who represent the only spontaneous revolutionary force in the country, the unions proved to be ineffective and realized the anachronistic nature of their program. The union leaders, immersed in worker control politics, inevitably reach the preparatory stage for a coup d'etat. Coup d'etat. Coup d'tater-tot. Let's read that again. The union leaders, immersed in worker control politics, inevitably reach the preparatory stage for a coup d'etat. But here again, the interior is excluded. It is a showdown restricted to the national bourgeoisie and the unionized workers' movement. The national bourgeoisie, appropriating the old traditions of colonialism, flexes its military and police muscle, whereas the unions organize meetings and mobilize tens of thousands of their members. The peasants shrug their shoulders as they muse over this national bourgeoisie and these workers who, after all, have enough to eat. The peasants shrug their shoulders, for they realize that both parties treat them as a makeshift force. The unions, the parties, and the government, in a kind of immoral Machiavellianism, use the peasant masses as a blind, inert force of intervention, as a kind of brute force. Okay, let's put a note here, because we just read a bunch, and I feel like, he's explaining everything beautifully. But I think it's good to take note of, no, we'll just say as a kind of brute force. Let's say the fact that the nationalist prior fact that the nationalist parties born of the union, born partly of the born of the proletarian and union movements. I know he doesn't say this, but they're basically, you know, never bothered to organize and educate and organize the peasantry, or even really acknowledge them in a real material sense, or even really acknowledge them, let's say, materially. Let's say really address them, or even really address their material concerns in any way. The prior fact that the nationalist parties born from proletarian and union movements never bothered to educate and organize the peasantry. Oh god, that is a run the fuck on sentence. That is just forever. So let's break that down a little bit. The prior fact that national parties never bothered to and proletarian movements never bothered to materially address to adequately and materially address the interior's concerns has lasting repercussions. Fanon gives us a few ways that this pans out, but in every one we have, but in every one the peasantry is leveraged against the nation in some way. Fanon gives us a few ways that this pans out, but in every one, the peasantry is leveraged by some power against the rest of the nation. Be it the party in power, the opposition party, or the unions. However, in most of these cases, he is quick to point out that in none of these cases, let's see. The prior fact that the nationalist parties and proletarian movements never bothered to adequately and materially address the interior's concerns has lasting repercussions. Fanon gives us a few ways that this pans out, but in every one, the peasantry is leveraged by some power against the rest of the nation. Be it the party in power, the opposition party, or the unions. None of them ever bothered to organize the peasants, oh god, such a annoying word. I don't know. It's the two A's. None of them ever bothered to organize the peasants, and who comprise the bulk of this post-colonial society, bulk of post-colonial nation. None of them ever bothered to organize the peasants, who comprise the bulk of the post-colonial nation. No, let's, sorry. It's just like, I want to make sure I'm doing things right, correctly, you know? I'm trying to, like, you know, I want to try and educate to the best of my abilities, and I'm trying to parse my words carefully enough so that, because I'm learning this, and I want whoever watches this to, like, be able to understand what I'm trying to say and what I'm getting out of this, and so that you can form your own opinions of it, but also, you know, use my reading, if not as a way to understand it yourself then as a way, or as like a template to understand it, as a way to you know, see the how you understand it differently, you know, like maybe you don't agree with what I'm saying, but at least you have what I'm getting out of this, and you can use that, you can compare that to what you're getting out of this. Fanon gives us a few ways that this pans out, but in every one the peasantry is leveraged by some power against the rest of the nation, be it the party in power, the opposition party, or the unions. No one succeeded in organizing the peasantry, except the peasantry itself, but unlike the unions or the nationalist parties, that doesn't make sense either. Ugh. I hate this. I don't hate this. This is good. This is... I need to be better at expressing myself and explaining myself. In certain circumstances, peasants shrug their shoulders. They realize that both parties treat them as a makeshift force. No one ever successfully organized the no one ever successfully organized the peasantry, and thus national unity cannot occur. Yeah, there we go. I already said that, so that's good. In certain circumstances, however, the peasant masses make a crucial contribution to the struggle for national liberation, as well as to the course of action opted by the future nation. Ooh, okay, we're off to something different. For the underdeveloped countries, the phenomenon is of fundamental importance, and this is the reason why we propose to study it in detail. Oh, sorry. We've seen that the nationalist party's will to smash colonialism works hand in hand with the will to remain on good terms with the colonial authorities. The nationalist party's will to smash colonialism with the will to... Okay. Within these parties, two lines of action can emerge. First of all, some of the intellectual elements who have made a thorough analysis of the colonial reality and the international situation begin to criticize the ideological vacuum of the National Party and its dearth of strategy and tactics. They never tire of asking the leaders the crucial questions: what is nationalism? What does it mean to you? What does the term signify? What is the point of independence? And first, how do you intend to achieve it? While at the same time demanding that methodological issues be vigorously addressed. To electioneering methods, they suggest adding any other means. At the first signs of a skirmish, the leaders are quick to call them juvenile hotheads. But because these demands are neither juvenile nor hot-headed, the revolutionary elements articulating them are rapidly isolated and removed. The leaders, cloaked in their experience, ruthlessly reject these upstarts, these anarchists. Wait. Vigorously to electioneering, they suggest adding any other means. What? At first, demanding that methodological issues be vigorously addressed. The first signs of a skirmish, the leaders are quick to call them juvenile hotheads. They're neither juvenile nor hot-headed. Their revolutionary elements articulating them are rapidly isolated. Okay. The party machines tend to resist any innovation. The revolutionary minority finds itself isolated, confronted by a leadership, frightened and anguished at the idea it could be swept away in a whirlwind whose nature, strength, and direction are beyond its imagining. This is the party machine tends to resist any innovation. This is like a problem I have with like weird. This is gonna be some internecine fighting bullshit, but with like weird doctrinaire Marxist-Leninists. I'm not saying Marxist-Leninists in general, but I've definitely seen some like weirdos saying shit like, you know, we need a newspaper. Like, who the fuck reads newspapers right now? You know, they resist like any form of. This is why I'm doing this whole fucking YouTube thing anyway. This is why I'm doing this Twitch streaming and YouTubing thing, because these are modern methods of getting information out there and like education and agitation. So I want more people to be able to reach this shit. And doing this as ASMR is, I don't think that's an avenue that's really has been like I mean, I've seen some people try and do it, but like I've seen like 1 or 2 videos. I haven't seen like anyone do real like readings or engagement with a lot of stuff. Maybe someone has read the Communist Manifesto, which maybe I will do when I'm done with this book. I'm just doing this book because it's because I really wanted to read it, and I'm a lazy POS. It's hard to get motivated to read things myself. So I thought having kind of an external thing would help me. And it has. I'm reading this and I'm taking notes, which is cool. My brain is kind of like, I'll read a passage and like totally not remember that, like, what I was just reading. But yeah. I don't know. Let's see. Let's continue. I'm not gonna go on for too much longer. It's midnight, and I think I am gonna maybe play a little bit more of Spooper Punk. Okay. The second line of action involves the senior or junior cadres whose activities have been the objective of colonialist police persecution. It is worth noting that these men attained the leadership of the party through sheer hard work, self-sacrifice, and an exemplary patriotism. Okay. These men from the rank and file are often laborers, seasonal workers, and sometimes even genuinely unemployed. For them, being activists in a national party is not a question of politics, but the only way of casting off their animal status for a human one. These men, uncomfortable with the party's exacerbated legalism, demonstrate within the limits of their assigned activities a spirit of initiative, courage, and a sense of purpose, which almost systemically make them targets for the forces of colonialist repression. Arrested, convicted, tortured, amnestied, they use their period. I've never heard amnestied. I've never heard to amnesty, but let's read that again. Arrested, convicted, tortured, and amnestied, they use their period of detention to compare ideas and harden their determination. Strengthened by the ordeal of hunger strikes and the brutal solidarity of the prisons that are little better than communal graveyards, they live out their liberation as a God-sent opportunity to launch an armed struggle. Meanwhile, outside, the colonial authorities, besieged now from all sides, are making overtures to the nationalist moderates. What we see, therefore, is a splintering close to breaking point between the official and the unofficial party factions. The unofficial elements are made to feel undesirable and are shunned. The legal factions come to their aid, but taking so many precautions that the unofficial factions already feel themselves to be outsiders. These men then make contact with the intellectual elements, whose position they admired a few years previously. The encounter leads to the formation of an underground party parallel to the official party, but the repression of these irredeemable elements intensifies as the official party draws closer to colonialism and attempts to change it from the inside. Oh god, where have I heard that before? The unofficial faction then finds itself in an historical dead end. God damn. I never knew, I never realized, like, entryism was such a... Not I never, but I didn't realize it until recently, how, like, fucking stupid entryism is, this is exactly, I mean, this trying to change colonialism from the inside is entryism. It's kind of what Matthew Lillard's character in SLC Punk is doing when at the end of the movie. Like, he's like, well, I guess I'll become a lawyer and change it from the inside. It's what, starry-eyed Democratic hopefuls try. It's kind of what the DSA is trying to do. And it's all dumb baby shit. Sorry. Not that the DSA doesn't do some good work. I just don't think I think their electoral stuff is baby back bullshit. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Driven from the towns, these men first of all take refuge in the urban periphery, but the police network smokes them out and forces them to leave the towns for good and abandon the arena of political struggle. They retreat to the interior of the mountains and deep into the rural masses. Initially, the masses close in around them, protecting them from the manhunt. The nationalist militant who decides to put his fate in the hands of the peasant masses instead of playing hide-and-seek with the police in the urban centers will never regret it. The peasant cloak wraps him in a mantle of unimagined tenderness and vitality. Veritable exiles in their own country, and severed from the urban milieu where they drew up the concepts of nation and political struggle, they attempt to take the Maquis. Constantly forced to remain on the move to elude the police, walking by night so as not to attract attention, they're able to travel the length and breadth of their country and get to know it. Gone are the cafes, the discussions about the coming elections, or the cruelty of such and such a police officer. Their ears hear the true voice of the country, and their eyes see the great and infinite misery of the people. They realize that precious time has been wasted on futile discussion about the colonial regime. They realize at last that change does not mean reform, that change does not mean improvement. Now, possessed with a kind of vertigo, they realize that the political unrest in the towns will always be powerless to change and overthrow the colonial regime. Whoa, okay. I guess we gotta read a little farther, because that's bleak. Discussions with the peasants now become a ritual for them. They discover that the rural masses have never ceased to pose the problem of their liberation in terms of violence, of taking back the land from the foreigners, in terms of national struggle and armed revolt. Everything is simple. These men discover a coherent people who survive in a kind of petrified state, but keep intact their moral values and their attachment to the nation. They discover a generous people prepared to make sacrifices, willing to give it all they have, impatient with an indestructible pride. Understandably, the encounter between these militant militants, hounded by the police, and these restless, instinctively rebellious masses can produce an explosive mixture of unexpected power. The men from the towns let themselves be guided by the people and at the same time give them the military and police training. The men from the towns let themselves be guided by the people and at the same time give them military and political training. Okay. The people sharpen their weapons. In fact, the training proves short-lived for the masses. Realizing the strength of their own muscles force the leaders to accelerate events. The armed struggle is triggered. Insurrection disorients the political parties. Their doctrine has always claimed the ineffectiveness of any confrontation, and their very existence serves to condemn any idea of revolt. Certain political parties secretly share the optimism of the colonists and are glad to be no party to the madness which, it is said, can only end in bloodshed. But the flames have been lit and like an epidemic spread like wildfire throughout the country. The tanks and planes do not achieve the success they counted on. Faced with the extent of the damage, colonialism begins to have second thoughts. Voices are raised within the oppressor nation that draw attention to the gravity of the situation. As for the people living in their huts and their dreams, their hearts begin to beat to the new national rhythm, and they softly sing unending hymns to the glory of the fighters. The insurrection has already spread throughout the nation. It is now the turn of the parties to be isolated. Sooner or later, however... Oh shit, I think we might be done with this section. Nope, never mind. I lied. It's just... Okay. I thought I was almost done with this section. Never mind. Where are we in this? 42%? No. Shit. Okay. There we are. Sooner or later, however, the leaders of the insurrection realize the need to extend the insurrection to the towns. Such a realization is not fortuitous. It completes the dialectic which governs the development of an armed struggle for national liberation. Although the rural areas represent endless reserves of popular energy, and its groups of armed men maintain a reign of insecurity, colonialism never really doubts the strength of its system. It does not feel in actual danger. Leaders of the insurrection therefore decide to move their war into enemy territory, i.e., into the serenity and grandiloquence of the cities. That is quite a word. I've never heard grandiloquence before, but love it. It is no easy matter for the leadership to foment an insurrection in the cities. We have seen that most of the leaders born or raised in the towns were so hounded by the colonialist police and so generally misunderstood by the rationally minded, overcautious cadres of the political parties that they fled their home environment. Their retreat to the interior was both an escape from repression and a distrust of the old political formations. The natural urban relays for these leaders are the nationalists who have made a name for themselves in the political parties. But we've seen that their recent history has little in common with these timorous leaders who spend their time mired in endless discussions on the evils of colonialism. Moreover, the first overtures made by the men from the Maquis in the direction of their former friends, those they consider to be the farthest to the left, confirm their fears and eradicate any desire to renew their acquaintance with them again. In fact, the insurrection which starts in the rural areas is introduced into the towns by that fraction of the peasantry blocked at the urban periphery, those who still have not found a single bone to gnaw in the colonial system. These men, forced off the family land by growing population in the countryside and by colonial expropriation, circle the towns tirelessly, hoping that one day or another they will be let in. It is among these masses and the people of the shanty towns and in the lumpen proletariat that the insurrection will find its urban spearhead. The lumpen proletariat, this cohort of starving men divorced from from tribe and clan, constitutes one of the most spontaneous and radically revolutionary forces of colonized people. In Kenya, during the years preceding the Mau Mau revolt, the British colonial authorities increased their intimidation tactics against the lumpen proletariat. The police and missionaries coordinated their efforts in the years 1950 to 51 to respond appropriately to the enormous influx of young Kenyans from the countryside and the forest who, unable to find jobs, took to stealing, debauchery, and alcoholism, etc. Juvenile delinquency in the colonized countries stems directly from this lumpen proletariat. Similarly, drastic measures were taken in the Congo from 1957 onwards to send back to the interior the young hooligans who were disturbing the peace. Relocation camps were opened and assigned to the evangelical missions under the protection, of course, of the Belgian army. The formation of a lumpen proletariat is a phenomenon which is governed by its own logic, and neither the overzealousness of the missionaries nor decrees from the central authorities can check its growth. However hard it is kicked or stoned, it continues to gnaw at the roots of the tree like a pack of rats. Whew. Okay, give me 1 second. Wanna see something. Okay. Well, that's really annoying. Sorry, I was just looking at, I just wanted to see what it would take to get a custom URL from YouTube, and I need 100 subscribers to my channel. It's just really fucking stupid and annoying. But such is the way of things and stuff. Things and stuff. Things and stuff. Yeah, I think I might get out of here pretty soon. I'm just a bit tired of this. My voice is kind of all fucked up. I don't know if you can hear that, but it's a little and all this, the DRM free music is well, that works. Oh, hell yeah, this one's 12 hours. I'm gonna have to hold on to this little baby. Okay. We're gonna go a little, let's see, the formation of, how long is this next paragraph? yeah, let's finish. Let's see. Yeah, let's go. All right. The shantytown is the consecration of the colonized's biological decision to invade the enemy citadel at all cost, and if need be, by the most underground channels. The lumpen proletariat constitutes a serious threat to the security of the town and signifies the irreversible rot and the gangrene eating into the heart of the colonial domination. So, the pimps, the hooligans, the unemployed, and the petty criminals, when approached, give the liberation struggle all they've got, devoting themselves to the cause like valiant workers. These vagrants, these second-class citizens, find their way back to the nation thanks to their decisive militant action. Unchanged in the eyes of the colonial society vis-a-vis the moral standards of the colonizer, they believe the power of the gun or the hand grenade is the only way to enter the cities. These jobless, these species of subhumans redeem themselves in their own eyes and before history. The prostitutes too, the domestics at 2,000 francs a month, the hopeless cases, all those men and women who fluctuate between madness and suicide are restored to sanity, return to action, and take their vital place in the great march of a nation on the move. The nationalist parties are unable to grasp this new phenomenon that precipitates their disintegration. The outbreak of the insurrection in the towns modifies the nature of the struggle. Whereas the mass of the colonialist troops were aimed at the interior, they now surge back to the towns in order to safeguard people and property. The forces of repression are dispersed, danger lurks in every quarter. It is the national territory, the entire colony, which enters into a trance. Armed groups of peasants watch as the military loosens its grip. The insurrection in the towns is an unexpected lifesaver. The leaders of the insurrection, observing the ardor and enthusiasm of the people as they deal decisive blows to the colonialist machine, become increasingly distrustful of traditional politics. Every victory justifies their hostility towards what they can now call hot air, verbiage, bantering, and futile agitation. They feel a hatred of politics and demagoguery. Hence, in the initial phase of the cult of spontaneity is triumphant. The rash of revolts which breaks out into the interior testify to the nation's substantial presence in every quarter. Every colonized subject in arms represents a piece of the nation on the move. These revolts jeopardize the colonial regime, force it to mobilize its troops by dispersing them, and threatens to suffocate them at any moment. They are governed by a simple doctrine. The nation must be made to exist. There is no program, no discourse, there are no resolutions, no factions. The problem is clear-cut. The foreigners must leave. Let us build a common front against the oppressor, and let us reinforce it with armed struggle. As long as colonialism remains in a state of anxiety, the national cause advances and becomes the cause of each and everyone. The struggle for liberation takes shape and already involves the entire country. During this period, spontaneity rules. Initiative rests with local areas. On every hilltop, a government in miniature is formed and assumes power. In the valleys and in the forests, in the jungle and in the villages, everywhere one encounters a national authority. The action of each and everyone substantiates the nation, and undertakes to ensure its triumph locally. We are dealing with a strategy of immediacy which is both all-embracing and radical. The objective, the program of every spontaneously formed group is liberation at a local level. If the nation is present everywhere, it must then be here. One step further, and it is present only here. Tactics and strategy merge. The art of politics is quite simply transformed into the art of war. The militant becomes the fighter. To wage war and to engage in politics are one and the same thing. I think that's a good place to leave it for tonight. what do I want to say about that? I feel like there's definitely, I just read a whole bunch without annotating at all, so I feel like I should do a little bit of annotation, but I don't know what I want to say about it. I know it says there's 2 people watching. Do y'all have any idea, or y'all just listening, don't really care, or don't know what to say? That's fine if you don't. I'm not sorry, I don't mean to put you on the spot. I'm just curious if anyone has any ideas. I can hear the cat running around. Okay, I don't understand why it says I only have 2 viewers, but I have like a bunch of users in chat. Whatever. What do I want to say about this? I guess there's something interesting, earlier. Let's see. Let's go up and actually make a note earlier up, because, it's no easy matter for the leadership to foment an insurrection in the cities. We've seen moreover the overtures, the lumpen proletariat. Yeah, the lumpen proletariat, this cohort of starving men divorced from tribe and clan, constitutes one of the most spontaneously and radically revolutionary forces of a colonized people. Someone... Oh, awesome. Dennis Ricardo of Psychic Dolphin Garage followed me back on Twitter. Love that. What can we say about this? Lumpen proletariat, this cohort of starving men, divorced from tribe and clan, constitutes one of the most spontaneously and radically revolutionary forces of colonized people. I mean, that's the quote right there. That's the pull quote. What? Dispossessed. That's the word I was thinking. I was trying to figure out. Dispossessed. Yeah, what? Don't tell. Oh, it is. It's. Jesus, that's so many S's. Why is it so many S's? Oh. Okay. Dispossessed of land, tribe. He says something similarly to this. Yeah, these species of subhumans redeem themselves in their own eyes before history. The prostitutes too, dispossessed of land, of tribe. Made to feel subhuman. Those living in the shanty towns. Phenon refers to the lumpen proletariat. I just want. Okay, so. Yeah, see, this is where it's like annoying. Oh wait, hold on. So from the Wikipedia, the first sentence is primarily in Marx's theory, refers to the underclass devoid of class consciousness. Blah blah blah. The SPD of Germany made wide use of the term by the turn of the century. Lenin and Trotsky followed Marx's arguments and dismissed the revolutionary potential of the group, while Mao argued that proper leadership could utilize it. The word lumpenproletariat, popularized in the West by Frantz Fanon in the 1960s, has been adopted as a sociological term. However, what some consider to be its vagueness and its history as a term of abuse has led to some criticism. Some radical groups, most notably Black Panthers and the Young Lords, have sought to mobilize the lumpenproletariat. Left-wing views of the Bolsheviks, China, anarchist criticism. Really? They're not going to have a part on Fanon in this? Sociological term. They're gonna just throw it to say, oh, Fanon popularized it, and then not talk about his talking about it, I guess. I mean, yeah, from my knowledge, Marx is pretty wishy-washy on a lot of class things anyway. He does some dumb shit, or not dumb shit, he's just like willfully vague on stuff and kind of flip-flops on some stuff from what I recall. And of course, you know, as he was writing, he was constantly evolving, so okay. Anyway, that's a little side tangent. Don't come at me about talking shit on Marx. I'm not talking shit on Marx. I'm just like throwing my 2 cents in about him being often vague about, you know, how some things occur, because he just is. Dispossessed of land, of tribe, made to feel subhuman, those living in the shanty towns, what Fanon refers to as the lumpenproletariat, becomes ready to scrap forces in the colony. All those men and women who fluctuate between madness and suicide are restored to sanity, return to action, and take their vital place in the great march of a nation on the move. Unlike let's say, unlike Marx's, I would say, unlike Marx or Lenin and whatever, come at me. That's fine. I need to read more Lenin. He's on my to-do list. Whatever. Unlike Marx or Lenin, Fanon sees the absolute revolutionary potential this group of people thrown into the most desperate circumstances of all. Well, Let's see. The militant becomes the fighter to wage war and engage in politics. Same thing. Alright. Dispossessed population used to living in an era cycle of conflict and rivalry. Solemnly sets about cleansing and purifying the local faiths of the nation. Okay. Yeah, this is gonna be my last note, and then we're gonna might play some Cyberpunk in a second. Just to do it. I've been having a little bit of fun playing it. It's kind of stupid and annoying, but I like that style of RPG. I know there's better ones. Don't at me. To wage war and to engage in politics are one and the same thing. The earlier Fanon talks about Fanon writes of the Lucianary in hiding who goes from village to village, doing what the nationalist parties failed to do. Learn about from village to village, learning and speaking with and learning about the peoples of his own country. Becomes the perfect cipher for cipher. Is that the word I want to use? I don't know if that's the word I want to use. Who goes from village to village, speaking with and learning about the peoples of his own country, becomes an excellent revolutionary. Let's look back up at this. As long as colonialism remains in a state of anxiety, the national cause advances and becomes the cause of each and everyone. The struggle for liberation takes shape and already involves the entire country during this period. Spontaneity rules, initiative rests with local leaders, blah, 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 blah. The action of each and everyone substantiates the nation. Alright, the nationalist parties. Where's the lumpen prolet? I feel like we were kind of tying the... I'm just gonna synthesize, and the lumpen proletariat become objective program of every spontaneously formed group is liberation at a local level. The nation is present everywhere. It must be here. One step further, and it is present only here. Tactics and strategy emerge. The art of politics is quite simply transformed into the art of war. The militant becomes the fighter to wage war and to engage, let's say, warriors. Yeah. All right. I'm going to stop it right here. I think it's been a good, 2.5 hours? 3 hours. It's been 3 hours. I haven't been here the entire time. I've been here most of the time. I took a second to... Couple 2 times took a couple seconds to step away, but Let's... Nope, not that one. We're gonna go there. I'm gonna turn this off. Now you hear my disembodied voice. Actually, whoops. You lost my voice for a second. Book notes. All right. Studio mode. Oh, where's that? Notes. Where is it? All right. I know that's a little rough to look at, maybe, but okay. I will be right back, and then we're gonna go play some Spooberpunk. Cause fuck it.
control computers now have primary control of critical vehicle functions.
Alright, we're just about to get started on some spoobler punk. And this music's about to get just... Alright. Ooh, alright, here we go. Sorry, I had to make myself some tea. Let me turn this music off, because it's gonna be real annoying to try and listen to this and listen to all the spooby boys go pew pew pow pow kabloomers.
Good morning, Night City! Yesterday's body count lottery rounded out to a solid and sturdy 30.
Yes.
10 out of Haywood. Thanks
Hello,
to unabated
Night
gang
City.
wars. One officer down, so I guess you're all screwed. Because the NCPD will not let that go. Got another blackout in Santo Domingo. Net runners are at it again, poking holes in the power grid. While over in Westbrook, trauma teams scraping cyber psycho victims off the pavement. And in Pacifica, well, Pacifica is still Pacifica. This has been your man, Stan. Join me for another day in our city of dreams.
Ooh, cute. Ooh. Oh, it's very hot. That mug my girlfriend made. Alright. Let's get rip roaring, I guess. Shall we? Shallst we? Ooh, got the murderly chair. Let's go. Oof. Scurry. But it looks good. Who the fuck is Dr. Paradox? Where am I going? Meeting Takamura? Let's do it. Let's get rip roaring. Come on.
Had enough of this
Oh shit.
Hey, Judy, what's up?
V, can you come over stat?
Something happen?
Yeah. Just come.
Alright. Wait, do I meet Judy or do I meet Takamura? Alright, let's meet Judy. Legend. J, open journal. Give me danger, meet Takamura. Both sides now. Go to Judy's apartment. Yeah, we're gonna do that. Track objective. Do I want to kill that dude? They were looking at me funny. Might as well. Hopefully they don't kill me. Alright. Alright, it's these fools. They gonna kill me. They gonna try and kill me. Maybe they kill me, maybe they don't kill me. oh. Oh, all these dudes just... Yeah, shit. Well... I wonder... Can I get up here? Yes, I can. Is there anywhere to get... Yeah. Hostile area. Couple rainies.
God damn it!
Oh man. What's up, Padre? Oh, you got some shit for me? Oh, hot chamomile. Hot chamomile tea. Okay. Alright, let's see.
¡Madres! ¡Nos están aniquilando!
Oh. Yeah, okay. Reminder not to fuck with those guys. I'm into baby. I'm into big baby. They beat me up and I die like a widow baby. Like a widow baby. I would say sorry, but not sorry. Let's go, let's get it. Oh, whoops.
Hey, Judy, what's up?
B, can you come over stat?
Something happened?
Yeah. Just come.
Yeah, we're going to Judy's apartment. Takamura can wait. And I can almost get hit by a car. Come on, let's go fast. Gotta go fast. My name's Sonic the Hedgehog. I gotta go fast. Go fast. Woo. Ooh, overshot it a little bit. Alright, I'm starting to get a hang of driving real fast. Ooh. Oh! I got a warrant issued. Holy shit. Alright, let's go, let's go, let's go. How far are they gonna chase me? I did wreck that lady though. Holy shit. I mean, she didn't look wrecked, but you know, real life would have exploded her. I mean, I probably would have died too, honestly. Oh shit. Oh, come on. Well, spoken like a true ding-dong. What? No. Oh shit. Let's see what Radio Pedkek. Alright, let's try this again. I'm just wrecking this bike. Oh yeah! Let's see. Okay. Nothing? Okay, just that. That's fine. I'm gonna have to kill that guy later, aren't I? I mean, I want to. He didn't fuck me over, so. Damn. I like that these people just don't seem to give a fuck. Ah, come on. Ooh, these are not fast guy roads. These are... Ooh. What's up, Regina? There's a tiny Shion. It's looking for a new home. How much? How much? No? You don't just say? Okay. Bozo. What is this? Got your number from a friend? Yeah, let's track that job. Oh, that's the she did. Oh. Going the wrong way down the street.
How about I put you in your fucking place?
That's fine. What's up, Regina? Is that the guy?
For glory and fucking honor! Ah! I'm ending you now!
Are you? I guess so.
Te voy a freír, cabrona!
Alright. Get nasty, boys. Ooh, gold chain. Got a gold chain around my neck. Flies a jet. Boy, you better treat me with respect. Alright, that's that song. That's TOS. Yeah, I killed you. You died. I killed you, died.
Looks like we've got a date!
Uh-oh. Jam? Fuck. That was tight. What the fuck? whoa.
our asses handed to us!
Yeah, you are. I mean, to be fair, he almost killed me a couple times, but... Oh! Where's this Japanese guy? Would I have to meet Takamura now?
There was
What's
a
up,
problem,
Regina?
you got rid of it. I'm happy, the client's even happier.
Ooh,
Good
that
work,
guy
Pete.
is
Get closed.
super dead. I love that I just stumbled upon that, too. I didn't even... Ooh, Jack in. Let's see, what's up? What's up? Let's see. BD 55. Hell yeah. Oh. Wait, what? Body identified.
Where are you?
Uh-oh. Alright, more folks. That's fine. Got more dudes? Put up your
Ready
dudes.
or not, here I come.
Alright. Is there more? Is there more of y'all? I'm running low on ammo, but I could put a few more bullets in a few more people. Oh, is it in the pharmaceuticals spot? Alright, that's cool. Let's see, messages. Debt. Ooh, someone owes a debt. Oh no. Someone's bad. Someone's a bad guy. Roger Wang? Yeah, Wang. I wasn't sure if it was Wang or Wong. You're joking. I didn't borrow an any from you. We talked about a loan, that is all. Oh, from Blake Croyle? Roger, time is money, and mine ain't cheap. I gave you business advice, a service that isn't a charity. One more thing. Could you pass along my warm regards to your daughter and congratulate her on her pregnancy? I'm sure you're real excited to be a grandpa. Your daughter got a fine place in Kabuki, too. A real bright future ahead of her. Oh, okay, I understand. Take the money already sent your way, and don't you dare ever go near my family again. Sheesh, Raj, no need to get nasty. You hurt my feelings, you know that? As for what you sent, it ain't enough. Silly, you forgot the interest, but actually, I just got a thought for a quick and convenient way to put you to put a ribbon on this thing. Give me that little shop of yours in Kabuki, and we're all square. Only this time, I could do without the attitude. I authorize you. Oh, fuck this guy. If I haven't killed this guy already, I hope I get to. Yeah, time is money. Fuck you, dude. You scum, you trash, you garbage. You full-on bloated baby bullshit. Bap, 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 bap. Oh wait, did I change this in the thing? I don't think I did. Whoops. Update information. There we go. Sorry for whoever came into this thinking we were doing a reading stream. I am back on my bullshit, shooting guys in the face, and enjoying the shit out of it. Okay, is there a bad guy around? Ooh. Let's see. Let's drink a little tea. Sip some tea, sis. God, I am annoying. Sometimes. No, all the time. I'm always annoying. Let me be real. Now, let me be real. I'm a piece of shit. Data mine V3. Exit interface. What the fuck? Oh, drippy? Was his pipe dripping jizz? Where are the more dudes? It's saying there's more dudes. I'm not seeing more dudes. Is there an upstairs for more dudes? No? This is it. So where's all the more dudes? Come on, I'm hungry for blood. I'm hungry for blood. Ooh, what's going on here? Some drojas? Yeah, already read that. Need someone to watch your back? Danger prowls night City. Got a stalker on your tail? Hired iron out for your blood? Some freak giving you crooked looks and crooked? Jesus, come on. And bad vibes? Or maybe you're just looking for your personal security. The animals got your back. Survival of the fittest. It's law that matters in Night City. Oh. Yeah, see, I wasn't paying attention to the job that I took, and I'm pretty sure I did already kill that guy. Debtors, Adam Allen, Ripper gave away med equipment, need to let it slide for now, or my tune will hang himself. Roger Wang, shop owner, wants meds and med equipment, has his own network. Need to drain quick before supply goes dry. James Spears, the guy from the restaurant, stubborn sensitive pets. To break his legs, Lily Mills, model, has to give up her apartment, unaffected by threats. Made to mother, should make good on threat anyway, prove our agency means biz. Piece of shit. Yeah, I think I killed that guy. I hope I did. Or that if I didn't, I'm going to. I guess I could probably check from the thing that Regina sent me. I don't know why I keep doing map. Journal. Let's check journal. No. Main job, side job.